It's time for Sunrise with the Sleepy Boys.
Forgive us, Father, for we are about to sin and be very naughty boys. Hey, Brandon.
Yes.
No, smile.
You're gonna be very
bud.
happy. You're so gonna enjoy this.
I'm just annoyed because my computer sucks.
Brandon, do you need a
Bro,
hug?
this is gonna make it better. You
Yeah,
wanna hear about semen?
it is.
All right.
I
don't feel like I have a say in the matter, so I'm just
You
gonna
don't.
I'm just gonna yes and this, I suppose.
There you go.
So, Brandon, you remember my friend Robbie from high school?
Yes, I do.
So, you know, at the time that I was or in high school, I was dating the bitch. That we'll say
I'm
her
gonna
name
grab
is-
another drink while you're doing this.
Nothing says I'm going to call someone a bitch like my voice cracking in the middle of doing it.
Fuck you guys. I can't control this.
You're a man. You're
So
a
for her-
goddamn man.
For the sake of not calling people out by their names, we'll call her Heather. So I was dating this bitch named Heather. And me and Robbie would hang out. Me, Robbie, Heather, and our other friend, we'll call him Andrew, would hang out at Robbie's place, right?
Are you going to be able to keep track of all these names you're assigning them?
I have a pen and paper right here, so I'm looking at it so I can keep track.
Okay.
So anyway, Heather, who didn't particularly take care of herself as far as like eating, like she would go days without eating food.
I feel like you could just do yourself a favor and just bleat their names out, and it'd be easier.
Yeah,
I
you
need
did
to go
that
through and
before.
remember to do that. I'm gonna mute Jeff real quick.
It sounds like he's literally just throwing shit against the walls.
Yeah. Anyway, so Heather, my girlfriend at the time, did not take very good care of herself when, like, she wouldn't eat, she wouldn't drink water. So there were a lot of health issues that came with that, i.e., occasionally she would miss her period. Now, for a couple that is
I don't feel... Yeah, okay.
for a couple that is having sex, that can be
Okay.
concerning. We never had
yes,
sex.
it can be.
We never had sex, so I wasn't too worried about it.
Interesting.
Now, Robbie, being raised Catholic and also having the Texas education system fail him like really poorly,
And
had
arguably his parents.
fair enough. So one day we were hanging out and we were playing. I think we were playing Dante's Inferno. It's not important what we were playing. I just felt like mentioning we played Dante's Inferno. Sponsor us, Dante's Inferno. And I just casually was like, "Yeah, dude. So Heather missed her period again," and he's like, he tensed up and he's like, "Well, are you guys having sex?" It's like, no, bud, we're not having sex. And he's like, and he just gets like he just turns like chalk white. And I'm like, "You okay, Robbie?" And he's like, "Oh, quick question. How long can cum live without being inside of a body?" I'm like, "I'm sorry, what?" And he's like, "I just need to know, like, can cum survive in open air?" And I'm like, I don't know, man. I feel like that's something that, you know, we could probably figure out. And he's like, "Okay, because like the last time everyone was over here hanging out, Heather was sitting on my computer chair." And I'm like, I looked him in the eye. I said, "Robbie, I need you to answer a question real fast. What the fuck does human semen surviving in open air and your computer chair have to do with each other? Because I'm sitting in that computer chair right now." And he's like, "Oh, well, sometimes I can't get over to I can't get anything to clean up with, so I just wipe it on the chair." And I'm like,
oh my God,
no.
and me being the asshole that I am, I'm sitting there and I just take we had bottles of like Mexican Coke or something. And I just take a long swig and I'm like, "Robbie?"
Like you took a swig of alcohol like you're an adult?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I did. I was like,
He needed a hit of that hard
It's kind of
cane
it's kind of like
sugar.
that It's like that father and son talk. It's like, oh, here we go.
I mean,
Son,
Man,
there were a lot of times I felt that way.
I can't shoot back this American shit. I gotta get a good cut of that Mexican stuff, if you know what I mean.
So I take a long swig and I kind of lean back in the chair a little bit, and I'm just kind of like,
And he says, Robbie, have you ever been in a Turkish prison?
You ever seen a grown man naked?
I said, Robbie, I think you might have gotten Heather pregnant.
Just like, did you say it just like Obama?
Pretty much, yeah. This was very shortly after Obama had been elected, so it was very topical at the time. And I was like, Robbie, I think you might have gotten Heather pregnant. And
You're an
Robbie
asshole.
had a full-on meltdown in the moment. He's just like, oh my God, I'm too young. What am I going to do? What are my parents going to say? The church isn't going to let me come back. What do I do? And I'm like,
oh my God.
Well, I mean, Mary wasn't married when she had Jesus.
true. And I'm just like, Robbie, you know, I think you're just going to have to
I don't
start
think
keeping
that story works the other way around. If you're a dude,
I was like, Robbie, I think it might be time for you to consider investing in a cum rag. And then I got up and left. I just fucking left.
you're a monster. You're an agent of chaos.
And a couple weeks later, Robbie comes up to me in the hallway. He's like, oh, I got good news. I think I'm off the hook. I'm like,
All right,
what do you?
I got
do
to
you
interrupt
mean?
real quick. I like
Interrupt
that how
real
you
quick.
start this is Robbie sounds like he's out of breath.
That's
That's
how
how
Robbie-
he
that's
sounds
how he-
all
Robbie
the
comes up and
time.
he's like, oh.
That's how he sounds. This is not
That's
like
so not good.
this is just this person.
If Robbie had a
all the time.
catchphrase, if Robbie had a catchphrase, it would be,
Oh.
"Oh my God." Like
He-
I love Robbie to death. Like he's one of the funniest people I've ever known.
Oh, I want to feel
But-
bad for this kid, but I just don't.
But the
I don't
problem
feel
is
bad for him.
he sounds like a cartoon character when he talks.
He looks like the Jewish version of Shaggy.
Of who?
Shaggy.
Shaggy.
Actually, he kind
Oh.
of looks like a Jewish version of Key if Key got, or if he got a bunch of piercings.
That's rude to Key.
But not to Shaggy? How dare
It's
you?
also rude to Jewish people all over too. But you
Isn't
know.
he Jewish?
No, he's Catholic.
Oh.
Oh, see,
well,
that's why I was
Oh my
confused.
gosh,
you
there's
can
a
just
funny
bleep that out.
there's actually a funny explanation as to why his hair looks like that way too. So when he was in junior high, he had long hair, kind of like what Keys looks like, just long, like
Did he
straight
get a
hair.
perm?
No, so you guys know that there are chances, like if you shave your head, that your follicles can go into shock and curl your hair after that.
Yeah.
No, but
You know that if you shave your
listening.
eyebrows, your follicles can go into shock and they can never grow back sometimes?
Yeah,
That's a
but yeah.
possibility.
But yeah, so if you go from having long hair
Is
to
that what
shaving
happened
your
to Whoopi Goldberg?
Oh.
so yeah, if you shave your head, it can fuck with your follicles and your hair comes in curly. It happened to
Wow.
it actually happened to my oldest nephew. My oldest nephew had long straight hair, and then one day his mom accidentally shaved his head.
How do you
And-
accidentally shave somebody's head?
So she was just trying to give him a trim, and she was using
She
clippers.
was juggling clippers.
No, she was
and he
using
walked
clippers,
in the room.
and she had just shaven his my brother-in-law's head down to the scalp, and she forgot to put the lengthener on the clippers.
It's the guard.
She didn't
I've
put the
actually
guard
done
on.
that to myself.
So first buzz was just down to the scalp, and I just heard this loud scream, and I was like, "Uh-oh." Anyway, so that's what happened to Robbie. So yeah, so Robbie's hair curled after he shaved his head. So again, Robbie comes running up to me with his big ass Jew fro, and he's like, Mark,
Dude.
I think I'm off the hook. I think I'll be okay. And I was like, why? Also, what are you talking about?
Okay, I was going to say, not for what?
Because
You,
it turns
you
out
automatically knew what he was talking about there?
No, I had no fucking clue. I was like, okay, good, but also, what are you
This
talking
is
about?
what happens with Mark when he strings people along. He forgets he's got a fish on the line, and then all of a sudden it comes back, and he goes, "I didn't even know I had that out there."
Okay, but the thing is, Mark gets back into the lie better than anyone I've ever met in my life.
You give Mark like 10 seconds and he's right back in it. Didn't miss a goddamn step. It's really scary.
Yeah, he can attest to
It's
that.
also really dangerous.
Yes, I can.
God, think how great it's going to be when I start telling lies to our followers and stuff.
I'm really terrified if you ever get dementia.
I'm really terrified if... Oh my God, I didn't think about that.
Me
I'm really
either.
terrified if he gets control of our Wikipedia account.
Mark is going to... That's
I
going to end up
I'm
happening.
so excited for when I start making
He's
our
like,
wiki page.
Mark, we've already...
I was married to
about
Brandon
your-
Philbrick for
Mark's
this many
already
years.
threatened to fuck with our Wikipedia page. He's said on multiple occasions he cannot wait for us to have a Wikipedia page that he can fuck with.
Robbie walks up to me and he's like, okay, I got good news. I think I'm off the hook. Me forgetting, as I do, like, fuck are you talking about? Also, cool. And then it clicked and I was like, oh yeah. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, I double checked with my health teacher. Apparently it doesn't stay very long in open air. I'm like, well, how long did he
Oh
say?
my
How long did he
god,
say
no.
it could stick around? And he's like, oh, usually only a couple of hours tops. And I'm like, cool. How long was it before we came over that happened? And his face once again turns chalk white. And he's like, oh
Okay.
no.
My favorite part of all this is, did he just like think that he didn't notice her sitting naked on the chair?
She wasn't naked. That's the best part.
Well, that's
No,
what I'm saying.
Not only that, he had the audacity to go up to his teacher and ask about that too.
I would like
Dude,
to
again,
point
when I
out,
was
I would
third
like
grade-
to point, I would like to point out a different part of this story that Mark does not know about.
Uh-oh. What did you do?
This person and I had the same health teacher, and I heard this question.
No.
Brandon, fill us in on what that looks like, because I
Oh
haven't
my
heard this
God.
side of the story.
I'm just sitting there at my desk, and I'm just it's after class. Like, it wasn't a question that happened during class.
I'm sorry. How old
Thank
at this
goodness.
time?
Brandon, you were a senior. Were you a senior when you took health?
You can take health in like your freshman or sophomore year.
Right, but Brandon
remember-
because he was all kinds of fucky with his Virginia school.
which is also true.
Virginia.
This was the year before.
So we would have been sophomores at the time.
Yeah,
Literally,
I was a
I
junior.
learned this at 10. And this kid is figuring it out as a sophomore in high school.
As Mark prefaced, this kid was
Robbie
he
is
wasn't
still a
taking
virgin.
well. Yeah, but well, Mark, we don't have to get into that. Jesus.
At the
I
point
feel
in
like this conversation we're having right now explains that without having to say it.
no, I'm talking about at this point in the story, Robbie was still a virgin.
Okay.
Also, once again, I
At
feel
10,
like that
so
goes
was I.
without saying. He wasn't 10.
That's what I'm saying. My entire grade school class learned this at 10 because we had
Yeah.
health at 10 and someone asked that question and there it was.
Yeah, and nowadays kids are asking where pee is stored.
And by the way, we were in a Catholic grade school.
God damn.
So,
So
like,
Robbie,
So, anyways, I had I had this class with him. Well, it was at the end of class, and he like walked up, and it's like I didn't hear everything that was like that had led up to it, but I just remember, like the gist of the question. And I was like, "Did that
I just
kid
imagine Brandon
just
sitting there and he just hears, "How long is cum good?"
And his confused
some
look
have
like,
an expiration date.
I don't even remember. It was just more in the sense of like I heard the word "come" if coming from him, and immediately I was like, "This sounds like
Well,
a
I'm gonna pay
conversation
attention.
that I need to pay attention to." Immediately, I'm just like slowly putting my books back into my bag. This like take my sweet time. I don't have to.
The clearly listening, pretending you're not listening situation.
Yeah, I had my
He's
back.
got his
I had my
headphones
back.
plugged into nothing.
No. I really did. I did have I put in my headphones, but they weren't playing anything. And I just hear the look of confusion on the teacher's
On the
face
teacher.
was
Yep.
was was magical. And I just remember like her just stopping and going,
Wait, I'm sorry. Did you say her?
Her?
yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
Oh, it got better somehow.
And I just
no.
I just remember her saying just she just looked at him and she like I swear to God you could have heard a pin drop in this room and she's like, I feel like if you have to ask, it might be too late.
Can you imagine what's going
and-
through her head?
Yeah, I saw the gears. It looked like the hamster had committed suicide in the wheel. Like the hamster's head is just jammed in between the wheel and the spoke that connects it to spin.
Okay, hang on real quick, guys. That's gonna be another one of our shirts. Just a hamster in a
That
wheel
killed itself
hanging
in the
itself.
wheel.
Or maybe just like lying there and there's a bottle of pills spilled over right outside the wheel.
And this woman was one of this woman was a badass.
Off the record, Brandon, which teacher was this?
I don't remember her name. If I had a yearbook, I could tell
Was
you.
she
But
hot?
I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
But, like,
he had
you
to
know,
ask
like,
the hot teacher.
In like this like sporty like volleyball kind of way.
Yeah. Okay. I know
Fuck yeah.
exactly who you're talking
Oh.
about. I had her for science the following year. So carry on.
I actually like that they had the science teacher teaching health.
Yeah.
I don't know if she was a science teacher.
Well,
Maybe
she taught my
did.
biology class.
Oh, okay.
So
But
continue with your part.
But so anyways, I just
How do you guys think
remember,
Robbie
like,
did in biology?
I just remember her turning to him and like this needs to be a conversation that we here, and she's like, I need to see you in my office, like kind of deal. Like,
Am I in
was,
trouble?
God
No, but
damn.
Brandon's clearly listening.
No, but it was one of those things because I wasn't the only one that became privy to what was happening.
Of course not.
'Cause he wasn't-
Everyone was like, "Oh God, Robbie's
He-
asking
Mark
good
ruined this
questions."
kid's entire reputation.
This kid wasn't. No,
No,
Mark
no, I
didn't.
did not.
No, Mark didn't.
He took care of that himself, bud.
Wait, let me ask you a question. Was
he
his
had
reputation better than I jacked off on a chair and think I got someone pregnant?
Well,
Because
so
if so,
that wasn't-
Mark
that
ruined
was-
his reputation.
Look, I'm just gonna say this. That's not the surprising part of the story because we all. He's one of those kids that you just kind of figured. Like, I don't have to ask. I know.
Here's the thing is Robbie was surprisingly popular with certain groups of people. Like he was
on certain.
No, like he was extremely popular with the theater kids. Like he got along well with all the math kids. Like even a lot of the sports kids were friends with Robbie. So Robbie
because
wasn't
he was funny as shit. The kid found a way to be funny.
You know,
Like,
I'm
exactly.
very
The sports
surprised.
kids were like, he's probably not going to jack off on his chair and get my girlfriend pregnant.
You know what's funny is that he had. All right, the fact is that he was scared because of his computer chair. Why didn't you just search this up on your computer instead of asking the teacher?
Oh my God.
Well, all right, I will
He just
say-
found the glitch in the Matrix.
I will say kind of at this point, like it wasn't like, oh, I can just find this easily when we were in high school.
Yeah, this was like
I mean,
2009, 2010.
we were getting there.
Anyway, so Robbie comes up to
So
me in the
happy.
hallway. Robbie comes up to me in the hallway and he's like, I think I'm off the hook. I'm like, great, that's awesome, bud. What the fuck are you talking about?
Great,
He's
let
like-
me ruin your day.
He's like, I just talked to Mrs. So-and-so and she said that she said that cum doesn't last very long. And I'm like, how long before we came over did you know? And he's like, oh God. Oh God.
I
It
love
was
that
like-
he had an out and Mark took it from him.
It was like right before, like it was like probably still sticky when she sat down.
Oh
like,
God!
Oh, okay, we've got new issues now.
and I'm like,
Mark, you
and I'm like-
monster.
you sick fuck, man. First of
This guy's
all,
a
I'm like,
God.
and I'm like, buddy, you gotta you got to do like make sure. And he's like, what do I do? What do I do? I was like, whatever you do, don't say anything to her because
Whatever
Heather's
you
going
do,
to
you
freak
gotta get a
out.
pregnancy test.
I was like, whatever you do, Heather's going to freak out. So you need to be very sneaky about this. You need to not make a big deal out of this. Like there's a good chance it's like she's not. And he's like, okay, I'll be okay. I'm gonna take a walk. And then I get a phone call from Heather.
Oh.
She's like,
Oh, I forgot about the beginning of this story.
and she's like, hey, quick question for you. Did you tell Robbie that I missed my period this month? And I was like,
Love
I mean,
this.
yeah, I was just, we were.
Well, I mean,
just
you're having a kid together. Why wouldn't I tell him?
I was like, yeah, I was a little concerned. I was wondering if maybe he had any advice on like weight, like because Robbie's also a very picky eater. And I was just trying to see if he had any tips on foods that you might like. And
It's
she's like,
weird fucking information you're giving us about him.
and I was like, why? What's up? And she's like, well, Robbie just came up into my my pre-cal class and asked if he could talk to me for a few minutes. And we had a lengthy conversation in the hall about how he might have gotten me pregnant from his computer chair.
God.
And I was like,
so
and at
he
this
admitted to her that he basically jacked off on her.
yeah. So,
You're a
my
bad
God.
friend, and I love
and
it.
and me being the asshole I am, and not, man, maybe there might be a reason that some people left me. Anyway, me being this fucking terrible,
Like Robbie and
asshole
Heather?
man, hell, don't get ahead of me on that one. So I'm like, well, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna keep it? she just hung up on me. She hung up.
She's smarter than everyone else in this story.
Yeah. So later that night we're hanging out, and I'm over at Heather's house. We're just chilling, watching a movie. I'm finger banging her, and
Careful, you might hit the baby.
Yeah.
and Robbie calls me, and he's like, bud, we got a problem. Like, what? And then he's like, I've been trying to get in touch with Heather all day. I don't know where she's at. I'm really worried. I think she might be going to get an abortion. And she grabs the phone.
How did this get better?
She grabs the phone from me. She grabs the phone from me and she's like, Robbie, stop fucking calling us. I'm not pregnant. He's fucking with you. And hangs up. And then,
you put your fingers back in.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I scratched my nose for a couple of seconds while she was on the phone with Robbie.
Oh.
And then,
oh God, Mark,
then,
you're disgusting.
And
yeah,
then,
that's news.
I didn't. Yeah, Robbie didn't talk to me for about 3 days after that. And finally, he comes up, and I'm like, "Hey, bud, where the fuck have you been?" He's like, "Look, I know Heather
I was taking parenting classes."
Oh, don't get ahead of me on this one, bud. I was like, Robbie, where the fuck have you been? And he's like, I think Heather's lying. I just to be safe, I went out and I started doing my own research. I'm like, oh great, here we go.
You created a monster.
Jeez, you literally created a monster there, Mark. Like,
and
this poor guy.
At this point, this is where I drew the line. I just grabbed him by the shoulder, looked him in the eyes, like, Robbie, I was fucking with you. You can't get someone pregnant by having them sit on your cum-crusted computer chair. And he's like,
it's fresh enough, and she's not wearing any pants.
She was wearing fucking jeans.
No, I know. I'm just saying though, if she wasn't.
Right. Yeah. If a girl with no pants on snail trailed her way across his computer chair, maybe. But
still no.
But she was wearing jeans and she was sitting on a jacket. Like, there's no fucking way. So
she needs to throw out that. I hope she threw out that jacket.
To wrap up the
Brandon him to 3 right there. Nice.
So to wrap the story up, the next year, the next school year starts, and I walk into my my bio class, and the teacher sees me. She sees me saying goodbye to Robbie, and she's like,
"Let me tell you about this dumb fuck."
No, she's like, you're friends with Robbie, and I'm like, yeah, he's one of my buddies, and he's like,
that kid's fucked up.
And she kind of just rubs between, like, when you rub the bridge of your nose. I think she assumed I was going to have a lot of, she assumed I was going to have a lot of stupid ass questions like Robbie did,
which I think is fair.
which naturally I fed her.
Oh my God.
When we
You're a
got
bad
to
human.
when we got to the like the reproductive thing, I raised my hand. Excuse me, Mrs. So-and-so. A quick question. How long will semen survive after it's been ejaculated?
And she just knew.
I never laughed as hard as I did after asking that. Than, in the entire
My favorite part about that
semester.
is everyone else in the class just looking at you like you've lost your fucking mind.
Well, here's the thing is most of the other people in the class kind of knew a little bit. Like that story didn't it didn't.
Oh,
enough-
really? That wasn't something that people didn't talk about in high
Yeah,
school?
that's exactly. Like enough people heard Robbie ask Mrs. So-and-so about that it got around pretty quick. So most of the people in the class,
Brandon told a lot of people this story, guys.
Brandon shared it with shared it at church. He shared it at his band rehearsal. There are people at other high schools that knew that story.
Brandon told it at confession, and then that guy just told everybody.
Brandon told it at confessional. The minister took his own life. It was really sad.
Jeez.
So yeah, that's my buddy Robbie. That's my friend Robbie.
So that reminds me of a friend from college that I will call Thomas. Thomas.
we are running out of
His name
fake.
is Thomas.
We're running out of fake names, guys.
Oh, it's cool. Thomas is his name. So I don't give a
I
shit.
did that joke already. No one heard me.
Oh no, I heard it.
And his
No,
name
I
is
didn't.
Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, hey, whatever. Anyway, so
We'll call him
Thomas-
Thomas 'cause that's his name.
Thomas, Thomas, like a lot of guys, was moving from one apartment to another and needed a little help. So a couple of guys helped him out. Thank God I was not one of them because they found out that day that Thomas's dick kind of curves a little bit to the left because when they were moving his desk, one of the guys was holding a really crunchy area.
No.
Oh, no.
Wait, why does that mean that his dick curves to the left?
Because only the left side of the desk had it.
Maybe he's a lefty and that's just where he wipes where he finishes.
No, he confirmed pretty quickly.
Guys, no, I don't just finish on the left side. That's just the way my dick curves. That's a conversation I would have loved to be a fly on the wall for. God damn. Okay, so since we're already on this kick about terrible things.
Dicks.
So my sister and her family have a pug. His name's Pua, and I love the dog. He's the coolest little fucker ever. And a couple months back, they were like, we should adopt another dog so that Pua has a friend. And I'm like, sure, whatever. And they adopt another pug. Now this other pug is bigger. So Pua was the runt of the litter. He's like 4 years old now, but he's still like the same size as he was when they 2 years ago. Now Dak, the other pug they adopted, who was named after Dak from Star Wars.
The Empire, get ready to suck some Dak.
Real quick side
Brandon,
you
that
made
was awesome.
You made that exact same joke last time too.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Doesn't
One
matter.
of my
Still
favorite
works.
dumb jokes from the fucking
Harvest.
Star Wars Family Guy.
So Dak was the previous family never left Dak alone. Like I'm talking, they took him everywhere. He was never not with them.
Well, caring owner never leaves their Dak alone, if you know what I mean.
Ew.
So the issue that they ran into is now this dog has severe separation anxiety, which is awful. It sucks, and I feel so bad for the dog. But
However,
the good
It's hard
thing
to
is
be away
that
from your Dak.
yeah, is that Dak
sounds
bonded with my
like
brother-in-law.
Thanks, Jeff.
anytime
Hey,
guys,
So
I'm here to
glad
help.
you
Brandon.
explained that.
Do you play with Dak a lot?
I
You
don't.
know, I've been known to play fetch every once in a while.
Nice.
Yeah, I know. I like to throw the ball around every so often. So
anyways,
Dak got really attached to my brother-in-law Raji, and so
Every time you say Dak.
he'll so they sleep, he sleeps in the bed with them, which most dog owners let do when the dog's that small. And Dak, they found out that Dak's like one of the ways to soothe Dak is to rub like between his or his like paw
Toe
pads.
beans? Oh,
Yeah, between his toe beans.
Yep.
And it puts him right to sleep. So one night, Raji woke up in the middle of the night because Dak was fussing, and just he started rubbing in between Dak's toe beans. He thought, and in the middle, like after doing this for like 15 minutes, he's like, "Dak, your toes feel really swollen." And he reaches over and turns on the light real quick, and he realizes he's been fondling his dog's nuts for like 15 minutes.
Happens to the best of us.
fucking Christ.
Just handle it, like fondling the shit out of a dog's balls. And that, I mean, to his credit, the dog was asleep, so it worked. But but yeah, so very shortly after that incident, they decided that it was time to get Dak fixed.
That's
Because of his
fucked
big
up.
old nuts.
Not the dog's fault.
No,
That wasn't his fault.
There was no correlation between the incident and why they got him fixed.
Oh
But
man,
you
it's gonna be
should
real
get
awkward
your-
when they have
you
another
should-
kid.
But you should
got
get
him-
your dogs and cats
Exactly.
fixed.
Yeah. They were planning on getting him fixed. The previous owners kept him natural
Intact.
because they kept him intact. They wanted to use him as a breeding stud.
Which is a funny phrase to say for a pug.
Hey, stud.
So yeah, so they got him fixed pretty shortly after, mostly because he was just being aggressive and trying to hump everything.
Do I want you? No, that's fine. Thank you.
Try it.
No, that's fine. I love you.
Hello.
Your butt looks cute.
I think Jasmine's talking to her breeding stud.
Oh.
Goddamn right.
He's a big boy.
Oh, I meant your dick, not you.
Yeah, goddamn right.
She's sticking a straw in the urethra. Do you want a little sip?
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
You better be one of
It
those
got
smooth
bad.
stainless steel straws for all I fucking know.
Ugh.
Oh God, just imagine Brandon's dick eating a metal straw.
That might be one of the first times we've actually ever had Jasmine audio on recording sesh.
What? Are you sure?
Hey.
We've had her once or
Well,
twice. in
HR
the
tends to
past.
stay out of the incidents.
Yeah, we need to keep HR out of the incident, but in this case, it was great. So yeah, that's how the Dak lost his balls was Raji fondled him by accident.
Little guy can never be a stud ever again.
Remember, kids, you take good care of your Dak will take good care of you.
I'm trying to imagine a pug being a stud.
Actually, in this situation, it won't. You take good care of your Dak gets its balls cut off.
Damn straight. Oh. You know what, Brandon? I just realized something.
What's that?
You haven't shared a story in a long time.
That's not true. I shared a story tonight.
It's true.
I jumped in on your story.
No,
You see how Mark's a fucking liar?
No.
Yeah.
I'm saying we haven't heard a Brandon story in a while. Let's embarrass you for. Oh my God! You know what tonight's recording session is?
What?
This is Valentine's Day, bud. You know what that means, right?
Yeah.
You still love Brandon?
So Key and Jeff, do you guys
Mm.
want to hear one of the greatest stories of our childhood?
Oh my
Sure.
God, yes. Oh, I'm so excited to hear it again.
So,
Okay.
yeah, we told Jeff when we were up in Chicago.
Oh,
Are you kidding me? I've heard this like 4 times. It's still one of my
Oh.
favorite things ever.
So for Jeff and Key and our listeners' listening pleasure, it was all many years ago on Valentine's Day of all days. I'd been busy writing love letters to all of my friends because that's the
naughty boy.
That's the horny, naughty boy that I was. And I gave love letters to literally everybody. Robbie.
No. Not just love letters. Love poems.
Right. Poems and shit. To
Love
Robbie.
poems.
I gave one to Andrew. I gave one to basically all my guy friends in high school. And I gave one to Brandon. And Brandon's was so sweet and so perfect.
Graphic.
It wasn't. It was sweet, but it went too far. You added so much extra seasoning and spice to mine.
Brandon, admitting that I found you like crazy hot in high school was the closest I came to coming out of the closet in high school.
Jeez.
One, I can honestly say that I'm glad I was at least part of like it sort of is coming of age too contrite or too
No.
on the nose for you, or
You can come on
Brandon's
my
saying
nose
he's
anytime.
not surprised you liked his hot ass.
no?
Oh,
I mean,
Brandon.
I'm honestly flattered because
Brandon.
I do not have a high opinion of myself.
Brandon's ass in high school.
Oh.
Brandon's
Really?
ass
You
Yeah.
don't?
Brandon's ass in high
No,
school.
I do not, Key. This is all an
Fucking
act.
tight.
Oh, Brandon.
I look in
Man.
the mirror every day and I'm like, Jesus, I wish you'd just hang yourself already.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
buddy. Brandon,
And if you do that,
let's
Mark's
tell
going to
the-
be so angry.
yeah, I'd be so angry that I have to take home
He's
a fuck doll.
He'd end up hanging himself just to go berate me in line for heaven.
That's a lie, and you know it. He's going on a murder-suicide spree.
And also, neither of us are going to heaven, Brandon.
Mark's going
Also
on a
true.
fucking hardcore murder kick and doing suicide by cop.
So, oh, that smelled really bad. That smelled like chicken wings and Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Brandon's dick.
I said bad, not really good. So
Yeah,
I
come on,
put,
guys. It smells like chicken wings and bourbon.
yeah,
I don't know if you showered today.
I haven't.
Man, I want chicken wings so bad. You're being
All right,
cute
cool.
for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, we were being cute. I was being cute on Valentine's Day. I wrote all my friends love notes, and I took extra special care for Brandon's because I love Brandon.
Which was odd because up to this point I was like, Mark and I are close. But we're not this close.
And this is what really what changed it all.
He
This
wanted to
is
cross
what
swords
changed
with
it
you,
all.
buddy. That's what he wanted to do.
So
So?
what ended up happening is I wrote him a love note. I don't remember all the details about it was, like
I
You've
don't
got-
even remember what it was either because I read over it once and I was like, that's funny.
yeah.
And
And
then
it was
I
basically
I put it into my pant pocket.
But it was in a nutshell, it was like, I was complimenting he's got really beautiful eyes, he's got the best smile, this, that, and the other. But the real
Right. And then essentially what it came down to, the big finish, and I don't know exactly how it did, but everything rhymed. I mean, it was a true poem.
Damn,
Like,
dude.
even the last part, I don't remember what the line before it was, but the last line was basically something to the effect of, if only one of us was a woman. And so Brandon read this again. He thought it was funny. I thought it was funny.
I was like, oh, that's fucking hilarious.
We
It was
both knew
essentially all
funny.
just building up to like, I want to fuck you, but one of us is, both of us are a dude kind of
Right,
deal.
because
One of
being
us
gay-
has to be the female.
being gay, was
Right,
wrong
right,
in
right,
my eyes
right.
at that point.
Which is funny
so-
because never-
Evidently, it's impossible.
so essentially, I went home. I threw my pants in the hamper to be washed. I did not do my laundry at this point in my life.
Oh, I think I know where this is going.
I was known for always leaving things in my pant pocket. So my mom knew to always check my pant pocket
Like the love of a good man.
to make sure that nothing was left in there.
Oh no.
And well, she checked my pant pocket and she found the little love poem.
Beautiful love poem.
Beautiful love poem. I get home from school one day and I notice, like, my dad's home early. He's never here like this early ever. This never happens. I'm like, whatever. We had when we walked into the house, we walked into the kitchen, the side kitchen door, not through the front door. So I walk into the kitchen. And my dad's just sitting there at the kitchen counter.
Oh no.
I feel
He's
so bad
like-
laughing at this.
And he was like, hey, how was school today?
Come here, boy.
So anyways, he was sitting there and he's like, I was like, hey, you're home early. He goes, yeah. Yeah, I am. How was school today? I'm like, oh, it's fine. He goes, yeah. Did you hang out with Mark? I'm like, yeah, I hang out with Mark every day.
Oh
Yes.
my god.
You know, your mother was doing your laundry and
Oh.
she
And
found
out why I
something.
hang out with Mark every day.
She's like, she found something. And I was like, okay, what'd she find? And he goes, I think you know what she found. And at this point, I'm like, I legitimately don't know.
And it's like,
And
oh, did you find my weed? No, I wouldn't care if that was the case.
I didn't smoke weed at that point.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I didn't smoke weed till like my senior year and like at the end of my senior year into my freshman year of college.
Huh. I find it a little hard to believe, but all right.
I just
Yeah,
wasn't
no, it's
super I wasn't super interested because I was always concerned that smoking was going to fuck up my voice and I was in choir.
Yeah.
So I just stayed away from it.
And he was busy
Ah.
sucking Mark's cock.
So tell him what
Right.
happened next.
Well, so
I'm sorry,
So
you're how old at
anyway.
this point?
Fuck, Mark, this was junior year.
This would have
for
been your
me?
junior year, my sophomore year. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was
When the affair started.
16 or I had just turned 17. Yeah, because I was 18. Because I'm a summer baby. So as soon like I was 18. My
You're a summer baby. 'cause you're
freshman,
so
my
fucking wild.
I was 18 my senior year of high school.
Hmm.
Really, I'm a summer baby, and I wasn't 18 until just before college.
Yeah. So that's how it was.
So anyway,
I was 17 because it was right, but it was Valentine, so it was like right before my 18th birthday. Yeah, so my dad was just like, I found Mark's note. And I was like,
Wasn't it funny?
which note? He's like, and at that point before, like my dad didn't even say like Mark's poem or anything. He just pulls out the note and then just starts reading it.
oh.
And he is like visibly upset and shaking as he is reading it. Like he's getting angrier as he's reading it. And he finished it and he just looks at me and he goes, do you have something you want to explain to me? And I was like, I just looked at him. I go, Mark's a really funny guy. And my dad then jumps up from from his chair and then like grabs me by my shirt collar and starts like roughhousing me and just started wailing on me like a child.
Jeez.
And
And Brandon, in all of his infinite wisdom, says, "Harder, Daddy."
no, I didn't. No, I did not. I was very upset and confused as to what was happening. And it wasn't until like later that night, because immediately I go to my room and I just hide out in my room because I'm like, the fucking maniac is here. And I got in trouble for something that I had no part in. And then he comes to my room and goes, do you understand why that happened earlier? And I'm like, no, I don't understand. What is your problem? And he's like, he just looks at me and he goes, are you gay? And I was like, I don't think your reaction justifies the response that I could potentially give. Like, I was just like,
My favorite
no.
part is, even if you were, does he think you're going to admit it now?
Right. That was the other thing. I was like, I don't understand this is the other thing. I was also this is my dad and I have always had always butt heads when I was a kid, and especially into like teenage years. And it's just because I thought the way that he went about things was funny to me.
Oh, wait.
But
There
then
is
at the
something
same
I think
time,
we should clarify here, bud.
yes,
Your dad's a pastor.
was
Right. Your dad was
not
so your dad,
anymore.
right. So your dad was a very religious person.
My dad is still a very religious person, though he is not a pastor.
Right. But that was part of the reason that this all
That
went
was
down.
yes, of course. And I mean, I don't think just because he was I think even if he wasn't a pastor, he would have reacted that way. He comes from
Okay.
a very conservative background. He is a conservative person. But yeah, so we get into it that night, and it's just like this whole thing. Like, I'm just pissed. I'm confused. I don't understand why it happened. Like, why did this happen? Like, I didn't even do anything. I just received a letter. Like, seriously, like it to me in my mind, and I was going through this. I
A
was
gay
like,
letter.
this is like, right. This is essentially like, in my mind, I even equated it to this, to him. I was like, this is like getting some like junk email and then mom finding it and then deciding to divorce you out of nowhere because she's like, oh my God, you have a bad credit score. And
Dude,
just
my
like,
exact thought was, don't go walking down the street with him in San Francisco. One guy like winks at you and he just beats the shit out of you for it.
right, no joke. But so anyways, like it was just one of those things. And I was like, Dad, I don't understand why you reacted so violently. Like, that's so ridiculous. And he just straight up was like, I don't want you hanging out with that Walker kid anymore. And I was like, why? And then my dad, because also at the same time, so because Mark's family went to our church. And I was like,
Did they stop going after that?
No, they didn't. So apparently Mark's dad and my dad had talked a couple of times or were in the same small group.
Oh,
And
no.
and Mark's dad had divulged that Mark's sister was a lesbian. And it was like a big like point of contention. And so my dad literally relayed it to me like his sister is a lesbian and he's trying to convert you.
Oh,
And
God.
I was in and I just the other part that got me in trouble and got me beat again was because I told him he was full of shit. And so then I go to school the next day and
Mark tried to convert you?
No. And Mark's just sitting there. We're sitting in math class with Miss Clifton.
Clifton, wait, can I tell this part? Can I tell you
Sure.
what I saw? So Brandon comes into class. You know that scene from Arrested Development when George Michael is just depressed, walking around with his head hanging down?
Oh, yeah.
It was
Charlie
like,
Brown music is playing in the background.
It was exactly like that. Brandon comes in, just head hanging down, looks super depressed. I'm pretty sure it was the first time I'd ever seen him not wearing black. And that right there was a huge red flag.
Which was
that's the funny
weird.
part because
Which
most,
was weird.
most people are like, well, when they're wearing black, that's when they're depressed.
So
No. I wear black when I'm comfortable, and I wear other.
Brandon, we get it. You're in the Black Parade. It's cool.
So funny thing, because at this time, I did have a Black Parade band jacket that I wore.
I hate that you have that thing.
I still have it.
I know you do.
You hate
I'm
that.
just holding on to it until I can get into better shape to wear it again.
Attaboy. So and here's the thing is Brandon always sat next to me.
In
Like, me
front
and
of
Brandon
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Brandon sat at the back of the classroom that day. And
No,
so
we had assigned seats. I always sat at the back of the class.
Oh, might be. Whatever. And
It's interesting. I was literally just about to be like, man,
how did you sit in front of me if you were at the back of the class?
Because remember, Miss Clifton hated us because we were constantly shit talking the entire time.
Yeah.
Sounds like
move you over.
Definitely sounds like you
Her
too.
response wasn't to move us to opposite sides of the class. She's like, Brandon, I'm going to move you over one row to the back of the class. I was only like, if anything, it made it easier for me to talk to Mark because I was right next to his ear.
Maybe
So-
she was just really a big fan of Young Love.
Maybe.
So what ended up happening is
I'm such
he
a
comes in looking like a kicked puppy. I'm like, hey, bud, everything okay? And he's like, my parents found your love note. And I'm like, and he's just like, he kind of just gives me that a glare. And he's like, it's not fucking funny, dude. My dad beat my ass. To which I go,
Oh no!
Wait, really?
No.
Harder because Mark also is clearly not taking this seriously. He's thinking I'm just fucking with
Oh
him.
no, really?
yeah.
Mark doesn't take something seriously?
Well, at the same time, Mark and I constantly did yank each other's chain to see what kind of response we could get out of the other.
And
I
that's
mean,
why
isn't
your
that
dad
exactly
was
what your
concerned.
dad was afraid of?
We still do, by the way. But like he wasn't taking me serious, and I was like, Mark, no, fuck you. Like
my dad
My
beat
dad
my
beat
ass
my
because of your
ass.
fucking love letter. And I'm like, that might be the highest praise I've ever received for any of my writing.
You're so
And then, of
bad.
course-
You're
then,
a
of
dick.
But then, of course, Mark turns and looks at me and he goes, so should I tell your dad the news? And I was
I did feel
I'm
here's
so
the
proud
thing
to be your friend, buddy.
I did feel absolutely terrible that your dad beat your ass for this because it was my doing.
I feel
But
like
at the
there's
same
a
time, you're
however
like, I
coming.
know there's nothing I can do from this point.
There
so
is
might as
nothing I
well
can
be
do to
fine.
fix it. So
Yeah.
why not? So yeah, that's the story of when Brandon realized he loved me.
That's a hell of a
Oh my
love
God, this is
story.
amazing.
I like it.
This is the best.
Oh, it was definitely
And that's when we decided to run away together.
I was like his Romeo and he was my Juliet.
Why the fuck am I the what?
Fine, I'll be Juliet.
Let's be honest.
You're the one
Brandon,
with the giant eggplant dildo.
I am, and it's
Oh my-
glorious.
Which is interesting because Brandon's the one with the giant eggplant dick.
Yeah.
Why do you think I
Ah.
chose that one?
That's why he left it on the floor.
I was trying to drop
Oh,
subtle
God.
hints to you, dude.
So I
Is it-
will. I am gonna offer a follow up to this.
Right.
So my parents both have. We have both talked about this since then. My parents have apologized for the way that it went down. They also don't remember it going down that way, which I'm like, cool. What? Thank you. I'm glad that you guys have
And you're
both
sitting there
blocked
like,
out
well, I
the
do.
childhood trauma that you guys have bestowed
Right.
upon me.
That's
But at
actually
the
a
same
psychological thing. Like
but
a
so
lot of
here's
times,
the-
good users
here's
don't
the
remember.
fucked up / funny thing that as an adult at this point in my life, I do find fucking hilarious.
I
It
love it.
is my parents' favorite story.
The story they don't remember?
Yes, because they remember it a certain way, like how like a parent, like parents have this innate ability to forget the shitty things that they did to their kids.
You think?
And like my mom has looked at me several times and it's like, we didn't mess you up that badly, did we? I mean, you're fine. As I'm like, well, I would be going to therapy right now if I could afford it, but
Look,
Jeez.
look,
Oh, I get that
this
feeling.
podcasts
like-
men are what OnlyFans are for girls that don't want a real job.
Oh.
Wow, dude.
What?
It was Patton Oswalt who said,
in all honesty, if I felt like my body was worthy of having an OnlyFans, I probably would.
Bro, same.
crazy, Mark thinks your body's a wonderland.
Well, and then
Your body is my wonderland.
That wasn't Patton Oswalt.
No, Patton Oswalt's quote was, he goes, I put it to you this way. We think the benchmark of bad parenting is your child becoming a stripper. He goes, but I think it's way worse if your child becomes a comedian. Think about it this way.
Oh,
A stripper comes out on the stage, gets naked, shows you her tits and her pussy, dances to an REO Speedwagon song, and you give her your money as you should. A comedian comes out on this. Now imagine, he goes, imagine instead she just came out of the stage and then talked about her vagina for 30 minutes and was like, give me money.
Yeah.
Someone fucked her up real bad. Your dad must have fucked you in a Garfield mask or something.
Oh.
That's true. I
That's
do
Ben
remember
Oswald.
that bit. You're right.
So
But no,
Brandon,
so anyways, my
continue what you were saying.
parents legitimately have talked about recently in the past year about how they find that situation was so funny to them. And I am not gonna lie. Look, I it's part in all honesty for me, it is part of my story and part of like what made me who I am. It's also
Right.
been a huge defining moment for Mark and I. So
Yeah, it
And
has.
plus,
I
cancel culture can suck a dick too because they've been like, again, with like the whole
What-
Robert Downey Jr. blackface thing. It's like, dude, you
Well,
miss the
interestingly
point
enough-
of that, right?
But has he really gotten cancel culture over that? I don't think he
No,
No,
has.
the
no,
thing
he
is people
hasn't.
have tried to.
People have tried, but
Now, Brandon, tell them about how much your parents actually love that you have a friend like me.
yeah, Mark. So here's the other thing. My parents have said on multiple occasions that they're glad that Mark is still a friend. That
Oh.
like
How do they feel about
legit-
him being your lover now?
No, that's a topic I would definitely like to hear.
Hmm. Oh, hold on a
Anyway,
sec.
But so anyways, they've been legit. I mean, it's one of those things that my parents aren't going to listen. My parents aren't going to listen to this. I've told them they've even expressively had told me like, we're not going to listen to your podcast. I'm like, you shouldn't. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not upset about that at all. You shouldn't.
yeah. I told my sister I had a podcast, and she was like, "Oh, where can I listen to it?" I was like, "You cannot. I love you too much."
Which sister?
Older.
Oh, I feel
What?
like your older sister could handle it.
Oh no, she could, but she doesn't need to know some things.
Also, my dad and I's relationship is a million times better than it ever was when I was a kid. So
Yeah.
You know,
You know what
I
I
mean,
should
like,
do
it's one of those
this
things
year?
where like people tend to forget, like, hey, a whole part of life is you're supposed to be able to grow and change and get better. And if you
yeah,
can't,
guess what?
you're doing
One,
shitty at life.
also at the same time, not everything is fucking like rainbows and goes well. There's some shit that you have to deal with.
No, come on, Brandon. No
Thing
one
to
thinks
remember,
that's true.
the important thing to remember is like, we all go through, our stories are similar in certain ways, but they're all different. We have these tentpole moments that we usually, it's like what with like comedians, they find humor in their own life and the things that they've experienced. And sure, sometimes it's painful for some people to listen to those experiences, but also like there's a reason why so many people find like certain stories funny. It's because they relate to it. And like
I
you
feel like we're
can,
just straight up talking about cancel culture now, because the whole thing is like, well, that triggers me, and because you triggered me, you shouldn't be allowed to talk about that. And it's like, that's not
I
actually how the
find
world works.
my problem with this whole thing, and it's always been this problem with the whole concept of like, oh, trigger warning, is the sense of like, you're not the only person who's gone through this. And just because you haven't reached a certain point of understanding or acceptance or have had peace of mind of what you went through, you're almost saying like, I don't want to hear other people make it to like have that kind of clarity or something. But I don't want to listen to that chapter in their life where they came to understand this shitty thing that happened to them, because I haven't, and it makes me uncomfortable.
You have a very,
I just
very
don't.
fucking good point there.
I
That's a good
just.
point. That's why we should end the podcast right now and never start again, guys.
Boys, I think we're forgetting the
We
most
should have
important
just
thing
called
about
this.
this.
We should have just called this trigger warning with the Sleepy Boys.
Guys, we all just need to acknowledge one thing.
What's up?
It's Valentine's Day, guys, and that means you gotta suck a dick or eat a pussy. Okay?
Or
Have
or
a
you don't. Or you don't. Because,
You're an incel.
or
just asexual,
or
or like
asexual,
under the age
or-
of active sexual life.
right.
Okay, if there's somebody under the age of active sexual life listening to our podcast, we got bigger issues, bud.
What would you define as active? Like eight. I love
Oh,
how
was that directed at me?
silent.
Oh,
Yeah.
I had no idea who you were talking to.
Yeah.
What do you mean by
Active,
like
like
active?
active as in like
We talking about
active?
legal age?
or age. Are you asking about like the definition between active or active age?
I'm just trying to figure out like what part are you getting at?
Oh, I don't even know. I just fucking talk. I like the sound of my voice. You guys know this.
If you just can't get enough of the Sleepy Boys, you can check us out on all of our social medias.
We are on the Facebook,
The Twitters,
Instagrams,
OnlyFans.
and coming soon, YouTube with the Sleepy Boys.
And if you want to see more of us as ourselves, you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at AKA Raxum, and on Twitch as Raxum Plays.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Condor_Brandor and at ATX Whiskey Bros and King Richard and the Gilded Veil on Instagram.
You can find me at Instagram at MasterKeyNobi, and you can also find me on Facebook as well under Keynobi Acosta, along with my Spotify page to hear my music, which I'll be doing for future intros for Sunrise with the Sleepy Boys as well, along with Brandon if he ever wants to.
If you guys want to find more of me, you can try and find me on Facebook. Good luck with that. Or you can meet me out in public as long as you're standing at least 8 feet away, because I don't think you can count to 6. Thanks.
Until next time, boys and girls.
Have a great fucking day.